Hello, Just Jax here and welcome to my channel, and today we are back with another line of UV testing. What can you cast when you haven't got silicone molds to use? So I've got three things here. I've got some wax that I've carved a bit of a pour out of. I've got some hot glue. Now I was going to just try and make a simple disc, which I did do. This was the first attempt, but I touched it when it was wet, so it left fingerprint and was all knobbly bobbly. So we'll let that do as a double to see, assuming that it does work. We're not going to assume. I just goofed, so we're going to roll with it. We're going to try a simple flat disc and texture. Just may as well, since I goofed. And baking paper. So I'm curious. Little to nothing sticks to baking paper. Will resin stick to baking paper? We're going to find out. So these are our tests for today. So what we're going to do, space them out. We'll go over here, in here, over here, and over here. So let me get my UV resin, and we're still going with the J. Dixon at the moment. So first of all, let's fill this little guy. Now I've tried to make all of these quite shallow from experience with the Play-Doh, because I can't flip these over and UV the back. I need to keep them as shallow as possible. I don't mind if there's a little run over the edges. And I don't mind if that's wibbly wobbly, it's just for a test. We will do just a simple shape on here. We will fill this one. And we'll fill this one. Again, keeping it all shallow along the way. Though if I didn't put the hot glue to cardboard, I could flip that in theory. So I'm going to give all of these a blast with a light, and when we come back we're going to see what we've had success with and what we haven't had success with. Okay, I'm giving the wax a little bit longer because, as sort of suspected from the Play-Doh escapades, it might be far too deep, because I'll slip it out for a second. It's set on the top, but underneath where it said it's finished, I can feel a bit of a squidge, and I can try and flip it that way, but this is not, there's no light shining through that. Well, there's a little bit of light shining through that. We'll flip it upside down, see if that has any effect whatsoever. So while that's finishing off, let's go with the baking paper, which comes off perfectly. We'll get a better look at these in a second. It does not come off shiny, because this is not a shiny surface. It comes out, and it doesn't feel smooth, again because this isn't, it's paper. But it does come away from that, so that's good to know. Now we'll go with the easier hot glue of the two, and we'll see. Let's take it off the cardboard to begin with. Will it come out? I do not think it's coming out. That may have become one with the hot glue. I mean, you can see an edge, I can feel an edge with my nail, but it doesn't feel like that is coming out of there. Let me get some pliers. Oh, it is coming out. Just my grip is... You're gonna need to really tease this bad boy out of here. But it is coming out. It is not one with a hot glue. And it's coming out clear. Well, blow me down. The hot glue works. It doesn't come out easy, but it does come out. And it comes out really clear and really smooth. Really clear. Look how clear that comes out. Well, I weren't too sure what to expect with hot glue. Well, if that one was tricky to come out and that was a smooth piece, let's just tear the back off this one and see what we've got here then. Again, and that was by no means, I don't know if we can see it on there, that was by no means a smooth surface. There's dimples and all sorts in it. That came out. Oh, I'm surprised. And it's not sticky. It has set all the way through. That is not. And again, being a dimpled, I mean, you can see where it went through to the bit. That's where my thumb had like left an imprint. Otherwise, that'd be clear as well. But that's come out really clear. Like I say, apart from the bit where my thumbprint is. I'm surprised and impressed. Now, oh, it doesn't feel squidgy on the underside now. Should we find out? Well, it's not sticky anywhere. It has. I'm going to run this one. I really like the feel of this one as well. That's worked too. I'm going to just run this one under the hot tap to get rid of the excess wax. Oh, that's vibrant. And that's all, like every groove that I made, and it has cured all the way through, even though I did worry that it wasn't shallow enough. I think because it was so thin where I grooved into it that enough light was able to penetrate to cure like the last little knobbly bits on the underside. I'm so surprised and pleased. Now, it's not come out the clearest, but I think that is because the wax isn't clear. So you can see it, I mean, you can see through it, but it's not like that level of clear. Really clear, slightly cloudy. they all worked. I'll be honest, I was quite confident in the baking paper, but I wasn't 100% confident because it's paper, even though it's like, well, baking paper, greaseproof paper, it's the same. I wasn't 100% sure on the hot glue either, so I thought it might just fuse with the hot glue. And the wax, I was fairly confident with the wax if it could set all the way through. But we have 3 successes there, which is a rarity for these experiments. Usually one is a colossal failure. Well, yes, you can use all of these 3 materials as a cast or a backing. Like the greaseproof paper is relatively cheap, so it'll be a good thing to put down as a back to work off of if you don't have a silicone mat. I do have a silicone mat, but when I'm doing these tests, I've got to pretend that I've got no silicone. So yeah, you can use that by all means as a mould, but you can also use it if you're working off something, so you've got overspill and you don't want it to stick to your tabletop. It will come off the greaseproof, and I'm pretty sure you could just use that again and again and again. So it's very cost effective as something to work off of. The hot glue was very interesting. That came out so clear. And then, like I say, the wax, it hasn't come out clear, but you can take a cast from it. So if you wanted to make some simple little moulds out of wax, granted they are one and done, you ain't using that again, but you can use it. And if you wanted, you know, not necessarily as a piece, if you wanted a frosted piece, then perfect, but you can always just use that and then paint it to your choosing. And I'd be curious, we might come back to the wax again in the future. Just so you all know as well, specifically this was a wax melt, that's why it's that funny shape. I will try with candle wax because I know it's going to be slightly, it's just going to be harder basically. It'll be that tiny bit harder. This is a very soft wax. But yeah, you could use that and then paint this. And yeah, that's what I was going to say. I wonder if I was to make a shallow mould out of those wax melts again and brush them with mica powder, how that would take. Would that take? Because then it wouldn't matter, if you didn't want a frosted effect, how clear it came out. That's actually really cool that way as well, so you can see all the detail. Look at that. It's like a little glass paw print. I'm pleasantly surprised, and yeah, this is making me more curious about other things to try. I have got another one lined up with another 3 different surfaces to try off. 2 I'm fairly confident in, 1 I'm not. I'm almost 100% sure, in fact, that it's going to stick to one of them, but we'll see. That'll be for the next experiment. I love that pour so much. I can't believe the wax works. I mean, I can, but I can't at the same time, if that makes sense. People out there who are pros with the resin and whatnot and have been through this sort of phase of testing and experimenting, you will probably already know the answer. But for people just getting into it and they can't afford silicone molds, greaseproof paper, right, granted hot glue gun glue sticks aren't necessarily cheap. In England you can get them from Poundland, so they'd be cheaper than a mould, but they're not going to be as detailed as a mould. So it swings and roundabouts. yeah. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this and taken something away from it. And yeah, I hope it's given you some ideas, especially if you can't afford silicone molds or you just want to experiment with different things. It's always fun to have an experiment. You just don't know what you're going to get. Those hot glue gun ones have come out so clear. I know I keep repeating myself, but look at how clear that is. You can see the lines on my hand. If you can see my fingerprint. If I really squash it in there, hang on, I've got a scarred finger. There you go. You'll be able to see that really clear if it stays in focus. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And it's given me more ideas. So thank you so much for stopping by and checking me and my channel out. Again, I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you can take something away from this. And if not, I still hope you've enjoyed, even if you already know this stuff. Like if you like what you see, comment if you've got something to say, and subscribe if you really like what you see and you want to see more and know when it's coming. Thank you all again so much. Take care and see you in the next one.